Hello everyone, as usual, straight from Diamond Foundation office. Today we're looking at rural development plan. What is rural development plan? This is exactly what we are looking at today. We want to emphasize that for our country Zambia to develop evenly, it's important that the country and its policies can focus rural development, because it's from rural development that we can achieve our own local resources that we have based on where people live, and we promote those kind of resources so that people are able to produce everything they will need to produce using their environment, their local resources they have in their specific areas where they live. So what is rural development? Rural development aims at improving rural people's livelihood in an equitable and sustainable manner, both socially and environmentally, through better access to assets and services and control over productive capital. So this is the nutshell of what we are looking at today as a rural development plan, because it's important that Zambia can start looking at how we can develop the rural areas. One, the major reason could be that we cut down the urban drift activities, so that people instead they are moving from urban areas to rural areas, so that the improvement is done even in the country, not borrowing money that always continue to improve Lusaka, Kitwendola, and Livingstone. It's important we invest in rural areas. We create industries that can make people start moving back, going to rural areas. At the same time, we need to look at the infrastructure that we can provide to rural areas. What are the basic elements of rural development? Definitely, we're looking at education, entrepreneurship, physical infrastructure, and social infrastructure all play an important role in developing rural regions. Rural development is also characterized by its emphasis on locally produced economic development strategies. Okay. What are problems faced in rural communities? The major problems that have been identified are poverty, literacy, unemployment, homelessness, and crime and violence. Poverty is the condition when the individuals experience the scarcity of resources that are necessary to sustain their living conditions. Apparently, these create major problems in the communities, specifically in rural areas. So it's important that we start refocusing our efforts as a country, Zambia, into these rural areas, so that we start developing from rural to urban. We know that it's important that we keep maintaining what is there in urban areas, but we put more resources to develop the rural areas of the country. What are the elements of sustainable development, specifically in rural areas? We are talking of investments in environmental protection. Rural infrastructure and in rural health and education are critical to sustainable rural development and can enhance national well-being. Beyond meeting basic needs, investments must be linked to the potential to rise productivity and income. So it's important we look into these kind of elements so that we start creating even employment. Whether you are in the Copper Belt, whether you're in Lusaka, there shouldn't be major difference if somebody is in a rural area. There should be that kind of activity that make people in the rural area develop, and that will make us develop the country better. What are the rural values if we look at the values of these rural areas? The rural value system is primarily communitarian and relational. These values are found primarily in peasant villages, agricultural communities, ethnic neighborhoods, or tribal communities. Rural people adopt these values to survive in the larger economic and social environment they find themselves in. So all these values are created by the environment where the people in rural areas are living. So again, this is one of the areas which we can identify and try to empower those kind of people in those rural areas, so that we are able to make the country grow specific products that are able to be grown by empowering these people in these rural communities. Rural areas depend on cities. Why do these rural areas depend on cities? The rural value system is primarily communitarian and relational. So these values are found primarily in peasant villages, agricultural communities, ethnic neighborhoods. But rural people adopt these values to survive in their larger economic and social environment by finding themselves in there. So we are saying rural areas depend on cities. Why? It's because whatever the activities they do, the agriculture sector, in everything that they're going to produce, they will depend on cities, because cities might have a monetary value or money that can go and help to buy certain goods that are being produced in these rural areas. That's why it's very, very important to understand as to why rural areas depend on cities. But you can imagine, if we reverse, everything is being done wherever people are living, that will balance the economy of Zambia. What are pillars of rural development? We are looking at there are 6 pillars. The basic 6 pillars of human development: equity, sustainability, productivity, empowerment, cooperation, and security. Equity is the idea of fairness for every person. Between men and women, we each have the right to education and health care. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to look into this rural development, so that the country has to start refocusing on rural development than focusing on developing big cities in the country. Because we would love to see even distribution of wealth within the whole country if we start refocusing on rural areas. So it's important we pay more attention to the rural development plan. So if you want to know more about these kind of plans, we have outlined a lot of plans that we can help to develop rural areas. So just follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and also follow us on Facebook. And no problem, you can also check us on our website, www.damundefoundation.org. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.